I never imagined that the woman I married, the one I promised forever to, was hiding something so dark, so deeply buried, that it could tear our entire life apart. For years, I told myself I knew her completely. I thought our love was unbreakable. But love, as I found out the hard way, can sometimes be a beautiful lie wrapped in secrets. It started on a cold, rainy evening. I was down in the basement searching for some old boxes when I noticed something strange. Behind a loose panel in the wall was a small door, one I'd never seen before. It wasn't on any blueprint. It had no handle, just a tiny keyhole. The kind of thing you don't expect to find in your own home. The key? Only my wife had it. That alone should have been enough to raise alarms. But I trusted her. I told myself maybe it was something harmless, something from before we met. Maybe an old storage room or some forgotten keepsakes. Curiosity gnawed at me all night. But the next morning, when she left for work, I couldn't resist. I found the key hanging on a nail in the laundry room and unlocked that door. What I saw inside was like stepping into another world, a world my wife kept completely secret from me. It wasn't just a room. It was a shrine of lies. Photographs, letters, strange objects carefully arranged. Some were painful reminders of a past I never knew she had. Others were proof of a double life, one she had hidden behind smiles and whispered promises. I stared at a picture of her with a man I didn't recognize, his face blurred but his presence undeniable. I found journals filled with words that spoke of betrayal, pain, and a hidden truth she never shared. And then I saw Aitea's phone, left charging on a dusty shelf filled with messages that made my heart stop. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, a secret she planned to tell me someday. But deep down, I knew the truth was darker. Every lie she told, every night she came home late, every unexplained call. They all made sense now. And just like that, everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and marriage was gone. I was trapped between the wife I loved and the stranger she became in that hidden room. The question was, how long had she been living this double life? And was I just another part of her secret? I felt my world crumble beneath me, the floor slipping away as I stood there, staring at the door that should never have existed. I should have walked away. I should have left everything behind and never looked back. But I couldn't. Because sometimes, the hardest truth to face isn't what's hidden behind a locked door, it's what that secret says about the person you trusted most. My name is Ion, and for 7 years, I thought I had everything I ever wanted. I met Zara in college, and from the moment I saw her, I knew she was the one. She had this rare kind of light, effortless, genuine, the kind that made you feel like you were home even if you were standing in a crowded room. We were inseparable. Our friends called us the perfect couple, and honestly, we believed it too. Zara was my best friend before she became my wife. We shared dreams over late-night coffees, laughed until our ribs ached, and promised each other a future that felt unbreakable. We were young, but so sure. We talked about everything, the little things, the big things, the silly and the serious. I thought there was nothing she wouldn't share with me. After graduation, we moved into a small house in the suburbs. It wasn't much, but it was ours. Every corner of that house held memories: our first dinner, our first fight, our first I love you. She had a way of making even the simplest moments feel magical. Zara was the kind of person who seemed perfect on the surface. She was beautiful, intelligent, and fiercely independent. She had a smile that could light up the darkest days and a laugh that was impossible to ignore. But beneath that warmth, there was something I never quite understood. A part of her she rarely let me see. I convinced myself it was just her private nature, the walls everyone builds around themselves. After all, we all have secrets, right? But with Zara, it felt different. It was like there was a locked door inside her heart I wasn't meant to open. Our marriage was steady, comfortable, routine. We worked hard, paid our bills, planned vacations, and dreamed about starting a family. She supported me through everything: my career changes, my failures, my successes, and I did the same for her. But as time went on, I started noticing things, small changes I tried to ignore. Late nights at work that weren't really work. Texts she quickly hid when I walked by. The way she sometimes stared out the window, lost in thought, like carrying a weight I couldn't see. I asked her once, gently, if something was wrong. She smiled and said, "I'm just tired." I believed her because I wanted to. I told myself maybe I was overthinking, that love sometimes means trusting when you have no answers. Zara was my world, and I never wanted to believe she was hiding something from me. But that secret room in our basement, the one only she had the key to, was proof I was wrong. Looking back, I realized I was living with a stranger. A stranger who smiled at me every day and kept her real life locked away. The life I didn't know I was married to. I remember the way she used to hold my hand in the mornings, whispering about dreams and futures. I wonder now if those promises meant anything to her or if they were just another part of the lie. Despite everything, I'm not ready to give up on us yet. Because love isn't just about perfect moments. It's about fighting through the worst ones too. And no matter what that hidden room holds, I have to find out the truth. For better or worse, this is my story. The story of a man who loved too deeply and learned that sometimes love isn't enough. The days after I found that hidden room, everything started to unravel, but I still didn't know why. I kept asking myself, what is she hiding? Every time I looked at Zara, I searched for answers in her eyes, but all I saw was a calm I couldn't trust anymore. One evening, I was sitting on the couch, trying to act normal while she was getting ready for dinner with some of her colleagues. She kissed me goodbye with a quick smile, grabbed her purse, and left. As soon as the door clicked shut, my phone buzzed with a message from her. It was a photo. A picture of Zara, but not at the restaurant she told me she was going to. She was with a man I didn't recognize. They were close, laughing, holding hands. The caption under the photo was simple, "Until next time." My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, confused, betrayed, and terrified all at once. Was this some kind of joke? Was I being paranoid? I wanted to believe it wasn't real. I wanted to convince myself that it was just a coincidence, maybe an old friend from work. But something inside me twisted tighter every second I looked at that image. Later that night, when Zara came back, I couldn't hold it in. I asked her, voice trembling, "Who was that with you? The man in the photo?" She blinked, surprised, then laughed it off. "What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean." But I wasn't imagining things. I showed her the picture. Her smile faltered. For the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in her eyes. "It's nothing," she said quickly. "Just someone from work. You're overthinking." But I wasn't overthinking. The room in the basement, the secret key, the hidden life she denied, it all hit me like a storm. I didn't sleep that night. I replayed every moment, every smile, every whispered conversation, every late night, every secret she'd kept. The next day, I tried to act normal again. But the doubt was poisoning everything. When I asked her about the basement again, she changed the subject. When I checked her phone, it was locked, always locked. I realized then that the woman I married was living a double life, and I was the last to know. I had to find out what she was hiding. But I didn't know if I was ready for the truth. The moment that photo arrived, my world stopped being simple. It became a puzzle with missing pieces, and the more I tried to put it together, the more I realized some pieces might never fit. For days after that photo, I was trapped in my own mind, caught between doubt and hope, suspicion and love. Every time I saw Zara, my heart begged me to believe her innocence. But my gut screamed the opposite. Should I confront her? That question haunted me like a shadow I couldn't shake. Every little thing she did suddenly seemed loaded with meaning. The way she avoided my eyes, the sudden silences when I asked simple questions, the phone she guarded like a secret treasure. It was like watching her through a fog, familiar, yet unreachable. One night, I sat alone in our living room, staring at the ceiling as thoughts spun wildly in my head. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe that photo was a mistake. Maybe it was nothing. But my hands trembled when I reached for my own phone to check her messages. Locked. Always locked. I wanted to scream. I wanted answers. But I was paralyzed by fear. Fear of what I might find. Fear of losing everything. The silence between us grew heavier by the hour. I could feel it like a wall rising between us, thick and cold. One evening after dinner, I tried to break it. "Zara, please, talk to me. What's going on?" I said, voice barely above a whisper. She looked at me, eyes flickering with something I couldn't read. Guilt? Fear? Regret? "I'm tired, Ayan," she said softly. "There are things I'm dealing with, things I can't explain right now." I wanted to reach for her, to hold her, and tell her it was okay, that I could handle the truth, but I didn't know if I was ready. The next morning, I caught myself replaying every memory, every smile, every promise, trying to find clues I missed. Was she always like this? Or did something change? I remembered the way she clutched that small key in her hand, so tight it left marks. Why was that key so important to her? Why did she never talk about the basement? I kept telling myself to wait, to be patient, to gather strength before I confronted her. But waiting was torture. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Every unexpected knock at the door sent chills down my spine. And then there were the nightmares, vivid dreams of betrayal and loss that left me gasping for air. I woke up asking myself, who is she really? Can I trust the woman I love? Or am I just fooling myself? One night I whispered to the darkness, "Please, Zara, don't let this be the end." But deep inside, I knew I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't control. And soon, the truth would demand to be heard. The morning after another sleepless night, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I needed answers, no matter the cost. I told myself I wasn't going to follow her. But the second she left the house, that instinct took over. I slipped into my coat, grabbed my car keys, and quietly followed her from a distance. She drove to a part of town I barely knew, an old neighborhood filled with crumbling houses and shuttered shops. My heart pounded so hard I thought she'd hear it. She pulled up in front of a small, rundown building. It looked abandoned from the outside, but she didn't hesitate. She reached into her bag, pulled out a key, the same one from the basement, and unlocked the door. My breath caught. Inside, the room wasn't what I expected. It wasn't a simple storage space. It was a secret sanctuary, filled with photographs, papers, and a laptop open on a desk. But what made my blood run cold was the other person waiting for her. A man. Not the one from the photo, someone else. Older, stern-faced, and watching her like a hawk. They spoke in hushed tones. I couldn't make out the words, but the urgency in their voices was clear. When Zara noticed me standing there hidden in the shadows, her face drained of color. "Get out of here," she whispered fiercely, but I stayed rooted, desperate for the truth. Then the man turned toward me. "I'm sorry you had to find out like this, Ayan," he said, his voice low and serious. "But this isn't just about Zara. It's bigger than you know." My mind reeled. Bigger? What was going on? Zara looked torn between fear and determination. "I didn't want you involved," she said, eyes filled with tears. "I was protecting you and us." Protecting us? From what? Before I could ask, the man handed me an envelope. "Read this when you're alone," he said. With that, they disappeared into the building's back rooms, leaving me standing there, clutching the envelope, heart pounding like never before. When I got home, I tore it open. Inside was a stack of documents, letters, financial records, even a police report, all pointing to a secret past I never imagined she had. A past tangled with danger, lies, and people who wanted to hurt her. Suddenly, the basement room, the hidden keys, the late-night calls, everything made terrifying sense. Zara wasn't just hiding from me. She was hiding from something far worse. I sat there, shaking, overwhelmed by a truth I wasn't prepared for. The woman I loved wasn't just my wife. She was a woman fighting a battle I never saw coming. And now, that battle was mine too. That night, I couldn't hold back anymore. I had the envelope in my hand, the pieces of her secret life spread out before me, and a storm raging inside my heart. I knew I had to confront Zara. No more lies, no more half-truths. She was sitting in the living room when I walked in. The dim light cast shadows across her face, but I could see the tension in her eyes. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady but cold. She nodded, but didn't say a word. I laid the papers on the table, watching her carefully. "Explain this. All of it. Why didn't you tell me?" Her hands trembled as she reached for the letters. I wanted to protect you. Protect us. There are things in my past I never wanted to bring into our life." I shook my head, pain twisting my throat. "How long? How long have you been living this double life? Why all the secrets? The hidden room, the locked phone?" Tears welled in her eyes, but her voice was firm. "Because the moment I told you everything, I knew it would destroy what we have. I felt the room closing in on me. Destroy us, or destroy you?" She looked away, swallowing hard. Then, she finally said the words that broke me. "There's a reason the people in those papers want me silenced. I've been running from them, from a past I can't escape. If they find me, if they find us, it won't just be our marriage that ends. It'll be our lives." Her confession hit me like a punch to the chest. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to feel betrayed. But instead, all I felt was fear deep, consuming fear. "Why didn't you trust me?" I whispered. She reached out, trembling, and took my hand. "Because I thought I was protecting you. But now I see I was only pushing you away." For the first time in months, the walls between us cracked. "I'm scared," she admitted. "But I don't want to lose you." I looked into her eyes, the same eyes I fell in love with, and something shifted inside me. Despite the secrets, despite the lies, I realized I still loved her. And if this past was the price we had to pay for the future, then I was ready to face it. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "We'll fight this together." In that moment, everything changed. Her love wasn't perfect, but it was real, scarred, complicated, but worth fighting for. But as I held her close, I knew one thing for sure: the battle was far from over. And the secrets buried in a hidden room were only the beginning. The days that followed were a whirlwind, a fragile dance between fear and hope. Zara and I became partners not just in marriage, but in a fight we never expected to face. We pored over the documents together, piecing together the threats that haunted her past. I met the man from the basement again, the one who handed me the envelope, and slowly the puzzle began to make sense. There were enemies, people she had crossed long ago. Dangerous people with resources, reach, and a grudge that wouldn't die. But more than that, I saw Zara differently now. No longer just my wife, but a survivor. A warrior fighting battles I never even knew existed. Our love was scarred, but it was stronger. We started taking precautions, new locks, careful routines, constant vigilance. I wanted to shield her, to protect the woman who had protected me all these years. And for a while, it felt like we were winning. But the basement door remained locked, its secrets still only partially revealed. I understood why some things were too dangerous, too painful to expose fully. One evening, as we sat together, exhausted but determined, Zara smiled faintly. "We're in this together now," she said. "No more secrets." For the first time in months, I believed it. Yet deep inside, a quiet fear lingered. Because the past doesn't stay buried forever. A few weeks later, as I was leaving for work, I noticed a small envelope slipped under the door. No name. No message. Just a single, chilling sentence written inside. "You don't know everything yet." I looked up at the house, the walls that had once held love and now held danger. And I realized the battle was far from over. Sometimes, the people we love the most carry secrets that can shatter everything. And sometimes, the fight for truth is only the beginning.